Hey, so the last time I posted a video on how to reposition components from a PDF plan to prepare them for needle cutting, something went horribly wrong and the audio cut out pretty quick so the video hasn't been all that useful, even though I've gotten a lot of positive feedback about, it's just what people want to see. And I've been meaning to redo it. I've tried to redo it a couple times and just haven't had time, got tied up, all sorts of things. But just today, my daughter asked me to make her a plane. So, hey, good excuse to fire up the needle cutter, and let's make a FT Sparrow. I'll be building it as a chuck glider, but it's a simple plan. I think we can probably fit it on one sheet of foam. The plans come on 2 sheets, but let's go ahead and we will open it. I have to go up a folder. I thought I disabled those. Silly notifications. FT Sparrow, and you'll notice here I already Mini Sparrow. I already did this once before, but I'm going to do it again. That's why I think I know it's going to fit in one sheet. Anyway, before I open it, actually, you'll notice I already have my document set up here. Document properties, file, document properties, as a 20-inch by 30-inch sheet. You can either come in here into document properties and set it up as a 20-inch by 30-inch in inches, or what I did was I set this up and then saved it as my default. I can't really go into exactly how to do that because it's different on different platforms. Mac, PC, Unix, Inkscape works slightly different on all of them. So you'll have to do a little bit of Google yourself there to find how to set a default document, but I have mine set to open a 20 by 30 document by default. I do have my sizes set in pixels here. We'll go ahead and change it to inches just since these plans are in inches. And we will come to File, Import. And here we are. Here's the full-size Sparrow plans. We will open them. And we're only going to do one page. We are going to start with page 3, which as you can see is the wing and the fuselage, almost everything. Page 4 just has the firewall and servo arms and the tail feathers there. But we will start with page 3. We will go OK. My slow old computer here will take just a moment to get it open. Come on. Don't make me sing. Okay, there we go. Good. You don't have to listen to me sing. Few shortcuts you should know. Press the number 6 will zoom you to the extents of the document. There are other shortcuts for zooms. If you come up here to view zoom, you can see 3 will show the selection, 4 will zoom to the drawing, 5 will zoom to the page, 6 will zoom to the page width. I find 6 to be the one I use the most, that and 4. If we come here, 4 will zoom us out a bit because the drawing is now bigger than our page. But we've got all this stuff we don't need, so the very first thing we're going to do is ungroup this. And that can be done from Object, Ungroup right here. And you can see you can also do Shift-Control-G to do that ungrouping, which is what we'll be using a lot. The Control-G to group and Shift-Control-G to ungroup. But after that first ungrouping completes, you'll notice now if I click away, I can select more of these things individually and just hit delete to get rid of what I don't need. You see here I click on the Sparrow plane and it shows there's more than just the plane, but it looks like as I move this around it doesn't include the drawings. So I'm going to delete that. Delete the flight test logo, and now we are pretty much left with what we need. So we can come in here, but again it's all one big drawing. Now on this one, quite honestly, our best bet is probably going to be don't move anything. Just drop this in and go with it because it fits pretty nice. We have a I like about a ½ inch. There's not quite a ½ inch on each side here, but it's close enough you can live with it. There's room to put your pins in the corners to hold down. But we can pull things in a little tighter, and we might be able to fit those tail feathers. I don't know. Maybe we don't. Maybe I didn't before. But we're going to do that Shift Control G. If you're on a Mac, it's something else. It's probably Command Shift G. If you're on Linux or some other Unix, I'm not sure what it is, but you'll notice here I did that, and we're still all grouped. Sometimes you'll just have to do it twice before it will actually ungroup. That's because the way things are grouped in these plans, you just have to do it. So now everything is totally ungrouped, but it's ungrouped too far. We can't just grab, if we come in here and we try to grab the wing, we're going to get just this little piece of wing, not the whole wing. And that's not what we want, and every time we move something, we don't want to have to select all of the individual pieces. Here, let's zoom in on this because it's a little simpler than the wing to demo with. The tail skid, okay. Yeah, we don't want to have to select this and hold down Shift and select this, and this, and this, and this, and so forth and so on, and you're going to misselect things. Now you could just do a drag and select to select the whole thing. And that's going to work here right now because we're not going to get in the way of anything else. Now we want to regroup these, which is Control G, and now they're one item that we can just click and drag wherever we want it. So we're going to zoom back out, hit 4 to go back to our drawing extents, and I'm going to drag this guy out of the way for now. And then we're going to come over here and do this one next. I'm just going to use the zoom to whatever. That's a mini power pod. You know what though? I'm making a chuck glider today, so I really don't need this power pod right now. I'm not going to delete it though. I'm going to do the same thing, do a group select, and either do a right click group or Control G. And now that that's a group, we'll hit 4 to zoom back out, and we'll drag that down here out of our document as well. Now I can do the wing because those guys aren't going to get in the way. I can select it, I can Control G, group that bad boy, and now we have a wing we can work with. So that's pretty nice. We'll do the same thing on all these others here. We'll just come in real quick. We'll just one by one. Dihedral gauge, we're going to need that. Group it. V-tail angle gauge, we're going to need that. Group it. Throw gauge, we're going to need that. Group it. Wing spar, we're going to need 2 of those. This is an older set of plans. On the newer plans, Dan Sponholtz, who does a remarkable job preparing these, tends to include things that you need 2 of 2 times. These older plans, you'll notice here the number in the circle has the line and underneath shows 2, indicating we need 2 of them. So we can right now, since we've grouped it, we can select it by clicking on it, and we can do Edit, Cut. I didn't mean to do that. I meant to do Copy, Control C, and we can paste with either Edit, Paste, or Control V. And there we go. We have a second wing spar, which we're going to need. I'm going to zoom back out with the 4 again, and just kind of put that wing spar up here. Put this wing spar over here. Start freeing up a bit of space. We're going to come in here and see what this is. Nose doubler. So again, we're going to need 2 of these. So we'll do the same thing here. We'll group it by selecting and grouping. And then we will copy and paste. And it didn't show up in the best position there. 4 to zoom back out. But we can drag it. For now, I'm just going to drag them both down here because I want them out of the way so I can group this fuselage. Control G to group. It's a bigger one, takes it a second. And we have a fuselage we can move around now. So we'll bring this nose doubler up here. And we'll bring this nose doubler right in here. And we'll bring our tail skid back up because we are going to need that. And you notice I try to avoid the corners where I'm going to put my pins. So since this has this angle to it, it lets me leave this corner open. So I have more room for my skid, for my pins. Now you can, get in there pretty tight. It does make it a little harder when you start punching these out of the foam, because they might be a little too tight, too close together, and the foam will tend to kind of want to rip and tear more, but it can fit. Now this one, I'm going to try and put it up here, so I'm going to double click on it to turn these corners into drag handles, or rotation handles. And if you hold down Shift, it'll give you that way off a corner, but if you hold down Control, it should snap. And it didn't snap clean there, did it? Let's undo that rotate. Let's see here. Yeah, there we go. That snapped cleaner, to this side at least. And I'm going to drag this guy right up in here. And now I have room that just in case my daughter doesn't totally destroy this plane before she's ready for power, I can do a power pod. Now that's a pretty full sheet right there. Unfortunately, we did not, oops, wrong. It's a shift click in here. So that's filling it really well. I still have room in my corners here. I can probably grab this wing and drag it down just a tiny bit more, so I have a bit more room in the corners, but really there's plenty for my pins. Nothing's going to get hit. This is pretty good. This is what I like to see. I wish we could fit in the pieces, the tail feathers. If we come here and we import again and we select the full size, and this time we're going to go down to page 4 and hit OK. It'll import it right on top of what we already have, and we can zoom with a shift. It turns to a zoom out, and we can drag that new page down, and we can do the same thing to it here where we Control Shift G to ungroup. Probably you're going to have to do it. Nope, didn't have to do it twice. There's those parts, and here's this part which we definitely don't need. Bring this in, and we'll just zoom to the extents here. And this is going to get selected, and Control-Shift-G to ungroup. And the firewall and control horns, since they don't get cut from foam, I have to double ungroup this one. I'm going to delete them, because we really don't care about them for foam cutting. But now we have our tails, and I really don't see any way we're going to squish them in here. I'm going to have to go to a second sheet of foam. Hey, there's pieces I missed down here. We do not need these. Delete. So, it would be really sweet to fit these in, but whoa! Control Z is your undo. Good friend right there. Back to the arrow. We better group these. That just showed me. Control G and Control G. So we're going to leave them down here out of our document for now, and we're going to go ahead and save this. And no, I don't want this in my desktop. Why are you offering me desktop? That's not where I just was. Let's see if I can go to my Google Drive where I like to store things. Jay Heitzma, Google Drive. Where's my Google Drive? There's my Google Drive. CNC stuff. FT Sparrow. We will save this as Sparrow 1. And I saved that as an SVG, which is the default from Inkscape, but I'm also going to save as a DXF. Sparrow1.dxf. Just because it gives me options. I like to make sure base units in millimeters. And I'm also going to save as, just because I'm feeling like being careful today, a plain SVG. And that's just because sometimes SLCam, which I like to use for my cam, has issues opening these. So there we go. We've saved this. We reorganized our parts. And now I'm going to go over to SLCam, and in SLCam, I've switched to 10 finally. In SLCam, I'm going to show another trick here that I like to use when preparing these sometimes. Is that starting or not? Did it take my clicks? My computer's just going awful slow today. That's all. Yeah, I got 3 copies now. Don't need 3 copies. Come here, you. Okay. So we'll come in here. We will open. And let's see, FT Sparrow. And let's try that first version we saved, just on the chance that it'll work well. Open. It's a big file. It's going to take SLCam a moment. And we are in millimeters. And here we are. Whoa. That doesn't look right at all. That opened way too big. So yeah, let's instead open Sparrow 1.dxf in millimeter. Wow, why are millimeters and inches clicked? That was weird. Okay, that looks far more reasonable now. I have my grid set up, as I've mentioned before, to 25.4 millimeters, which is 1 inch, because I live in America and I love the metric system, but we deal with inches too much here. So, you know, that's why I've got inches going. But you'll notice my workspace here in SLCam is set up not to a rectangle. My work area is currently set to 610 millimeters, which is roughly 2 foot by 2 foot. And that's because I was recently doing some non-needle cutting. I was using my router instead. So I'm going to bounce over here, and I'm going to quick use Google to do 20 inches in millimeters. And our X should therefore be 508. And our Y should be, I got that backwards. Our Y should be 508. And our X should be 30 inches, which would be 762. And now that gives me 20 by 30 work area, which is a sheet of foam board. You'll notice though, I'm going to select my needle cutter before I forget about it. These are the settings I've been quite happy with. 15 millimeters per second speed. The Z really shouldn't go above 8 on the MP-CNC. If you're lucky, which I have been, then the firmware on the ramps board will prevent you from having missed steps because that's too fast, but you really shouldn't go above 8. 15 has worked really well for me as a cutting speed. I get nice clean cuts that the parts don't fall out of the sheet, but a gentle tap and they do pop right out. I have my Z set to 8 millimeters, which is how far my needle extends. So in one pass I can cut a full 8. And my needle is a 0.62 millimeter. So we're on the needle cutter. And I can drag this off to the side. But because I left these guys in here, you'll see we aren't quite fitting on our work area. So I'm going to do a move, and I'm going to edit a drawing area and drag this back so that everything is roughly centered. And now we can see I've got almost an inch here, almost an inch here. My corners, I have a good inch on each corner. I actually have 2 inches square in these 2 lower corners, but only 1 in those uppers. So that's plenty of room for my pins now, so I feel real safe with that. And now we just have to prepare this for cutting, which I've covered in my other video. But what I did want to show is that once you do that, for example, let's say I've already done my first sheet and I want to go ahead and cover these guys now. So we'll prepare those by doing an engraving, and it's going to just automatically pick that up for me. I like to do 6 millimeters, which is deeper than you need, but I like to make sure I'm all the way through. And we will also come in here and manually we'll do this, hit enter, and that one, I'm guessing, I'd have to look at the plans to be sure, but I think that one I want to be a 2.5 score cut. And I believe this one I want to do as a 0.75 etching cut. And this here also looks like something that's probably going to be an etch cut. And I know this guy right here, I'd really like him to be a 2.5 score cut. So, you know, this is good to go now, but we can do the same thing we were doing in Inkscape, where we can go to select, drag around it, select the whole thing, and same thing, we can come here and edit group. And now, even though these are still different processes, it all can be grabbed as one. Oop, 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 oop. And we can go to move, and we're on edit objects, not edit drawing layers. Since we're on the object, we can grab just those cut, and you notice it leaves our drawing behind. We're just moving the cut. So I can position this right here in this corner, and boom, now I can save this file off and cut this, and it's not going to cut all this black stuff you see. It's just going to cut right here my full cuts, my score cuts, my etch cuts, all of those guys, and nothing else. And that's a handy trick you can use when you're going through here. You can also, right now, if you know you're making 2 of these maybe, select it again and stamp, and right there, paste in your second one. Paste in 3, 4, however many you want. And you can come right back to move, and they're still grouped, and you can position them. So that's a kind of key concept here in SLCam that gives you a lot of power, is that your drawings are just guides. You don't have to stick to the drawing. You can use the drawing as a guide and then move things around afterwards to prepare your actual cuts. So right there, I'd have enough for 4 planes. I could easily do this one as well and fit 4 planes here on the same sheet. So there you go. That's the basics of how I like to prepare my files by repositioning to get the most out of my sheets of foam board. I hope the audio worked well on this one and doesn't get cut off like the last one, and I hope this video was helpful to you. I'm going to keep doing more of these because they're far more popular than I expected. And I really enjoy doing them, and I enjoy using my needle cutter. I enjoy using SLCam, Inkscape, and the MP-CNC, and I hope you do too. If you did like this and find it useful, please give me feedback. I really do enjoy it. Down below in the comments, or even just a thumbs up goes a long way to letting me know that you liked this, and I should keep doing more of this kind of stuff. And if you didn't find it helpful, you know, let me know. I'm open to that. Just, you know, be friendly, because negative feedback is helpful as long as it's delivered in a friendly style. All right, have a good evening. I am going to go finish preparing this and make up a sparrow for my daughter to fly. Hope you had fun. I did. Enjoy.